If you watched last week's video, you saw all the repairs that took place under this house, the replacement of the rotten wood, the new joist, the new rim joist, or some people call it a tie joist, has been replaced. However, this, I believe, used to be a front porch, and it has no footing. And in order for this to be a part of the house and to be used in the winter, this needs a footing. So that's what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to start by digging a trench. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Dirdorf and this is Detroit DIY. What a horrible day to dig a trench. It is like 90 freaking degrees out, it's hot. But at least I've got a little shade right here, so that's a plus. And this might not be too horrible of a job. I'm hopeful I can control the width of this so that I can just fill it with concrete. So I'm just going to use my level and kind of come off of here and just drive a little line for me where to start digging. I'm going to do that all the way along and then get to digging. Alright, I'm going to keep digging this trench and then we'll come back and take a look when I get it done. It's a new day. This is day 6 of my project. I've got my trench dug. I could not get it quite as deep as I wanted, but it'll be okay. I hit something significant right here and I'm not going to dig the whole area up to try and get it out. I'm okay with the depth of this trench. I'm at 2 feet, which is sufficient for a rat wall, and the frost rarely ever goes 2 feet. If I was getting an inspection, this would be different, but I'm not, so I'm happy with that 2 feet. Also, I have a very low spot in this area. I could bring the dirt all the way up to the top of this and still be okay as far as my joists go for my deck when I put them back in. So I am going to be using high strength Quikrete, a lot of bags of it that I have to mix up. So it's just basic, mixing the concrete per the instructions on the bag and getting it in here. So I'm going to get going on that and we'll take a look when that's all done. I need to get that done today so that when I come back this coming weekend, I'll be able to get the blocks in here. My cement footing has been curing for about 4 days now, and I am ready to start getting some blocks in. I left 18¼ inches between the cement and the bottom of my rim joist. When I'm finished with the 2 courses of blocks, I would like to have 1 3/4 inch here so that I can slide in a 2x6 or a 2x8, and then the house will have room to drop down 1/4 inch. It is not level from end to end, otherwise from inside there to out here. However, I do want it level across here. There's nothing I can do about that. I just kind of have to roll with it because it would have to go up a considerable amount, and I don't think that it's settled that far. And like I say, I do believe this used to be a porch, so it was probably built off level from the back side to this front side for water runoff and other purposes. And that should have been adjusted or corrected before they ever closed it in, and it didn't. There's not a lot I can do about it now. You really have to watch how much you jack up an existing structure, because you can pull nails, you can cause yourself a lot of big problems. so I don't want to go there. I have one block set into place. I've used this board right here, it's plumb, off of the joist on the other side, so that I know that this is where I need to start my course. It's going to take me about 9 3/4 blocks to do this, so I just want to make sure that I run level once I get this one set, and I should be able to get me somewhere around 3/8 of an inch of mortar underneath of this. Let's take a look at the mortar we're going to use. I'm going to be using Pro Finish by Quikrete. It is a type S mortar, and it's used for brick, block, and stone and veneers. It has an excellent bond strength, and this is just a good solid choice for me to use. I'm not a mason. I know how to do this, but I'm not a mason. I'm not fast at it. This is going to take me a little time, and I'm okay with that. It is what it is. I have my drill set up with my mixing paddle and my mixing bucket and a bucket of water. So I am going to get that block pulled out, get a little bit of it cleaned up underneath of it, get my mortar mixed, and we will start getting that in. I've got my mortar mixed up, and this is about the consistency that we want, where you can almost get your trowel to a 45 before it slides off. Now actually it'll slide off a little easier this way, but this is what we want right here. Fairly nice and firm. We're going to go ahead and get this started in here, and we want it about 1 inch thick. What I want to wind up with is about 10 inches. Once this block is set in, there'll be plenty of room for me to smush this out if need be. I've kind of got it marked out here where I need it. That'll give me plenty of room to level this block and get it all squared out. So we're going to start with this. I bought a block with a flat face to start and to end with. Now you want to set your block in there as flat as you can. Then using my torpedo level, I'm going to check it here and get it nice and level. I'm going to use this off of the face to make sure that I am where I need to be. I need to pull this block towards me just a little bit. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's make sure we're straight. Just a little bit more. Okay. Looking good this way. Not bad this way. This front side needs to go down a little bit more. And I'm looking for 10 inches here, so I'm a little bit low. I'm going to pop this back out. I'm going to put some more mortar in here. Okay, I am happy with that. Getting your first block set is the biggest pain. Alright, recheck this one time. Good deal. Good deal. That block is set. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fashion some of this mortar down here to cover up the gap. This will be the side that I'm mostly concerned with water. And I am good with that. Now I want to get my bed in here for my second block. I've mixed up a little bit more mud. I may have it a little bit too thin. We'll find out here shortly. Depends on how fast I work here. Which so far has not been very impressive at all. I'm going to go ahead and get me a good 1/4 inch on here. Three-eighths. Same thing on this side. And the rest of the blocks going in are going to be of this nature. So I can see now I'm too low. So I need to build this up some more. This mortar, I mixed it too thin. I want to check it for plumb off of here first. before I start tapping it in and leveling it up. All right. A little bit high back here. It's looking good. Looking pretty good. All right, I'm liking that. So I'm just going to keep going the same way and get all of these mortared in. I'm finished with the first course except for the very last block. And that last block is going to need to be cut at 12 inches. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. Also, that is going to cause me a problem because if I start with a half a block down here, it is only going to leave me about a 4-inch block down there. So what I'll probably do, what I'm going to do is start with a 1-foot block right here. I won't get that big full half overlap on the joints, but it'll be okay. So I'm just going to start with the 1-foot block, and then that will bring me down to the very end nice and even. I finished up my blocks a few hours ago. They were tough to get in there. I'm not gonna lie, they were very tough to get them set right, get them level, and get them in there. The space that I've got left behind here is 1 3/4 of an inch, which is perfect. I'm gonna slide a 2x6 in here on its side, and then I will set the house down on that. So right now, we wait for the mortar to dry. So when I come back next week, this will all be ready to go, and I can get that brace out from underneath and move forward. My mortar has cured, and I am ready to get this last piece of wood in. This is going to sit on top of the blocks, and then the rim joist is going to sit down on this. And this will help to give me a good flashing edge. So I'm going to flash the entire bottom of this where it's going to sit on the cinder blocks, and the outside edge 3/4 or halfway, something like that. Let's get this flashing on. As I start this flashing, this is a long piece, so I do not want to peel all this backing off. I'll just have a mess on my hands. But I want to get it about halfway, 3/4 of the way on here. Like so. And then I'll just continue down doing the same thing. If you get wrinkles in it or something like that, it doesn't really matter. Now I'm just going to go ahead, fold it over and stick it down like this, making sure it's tight. If the lumber is too wet, and this is a little bit wet, it may have a hard time sticking. And if it does, I'll put a couple staples in the face just to hold it. Once the lumber dries, it'll start sticking a lot better. I'm going to get the rest of this on, and then I'm going to cover this entire bottom. So it'll be another piece or two that I may have to get on here, but we'll get this bottom completely covered. I have the bottom of this wrapped in its entirety. This is going to be our leading edge. So our next piece of flashing will be from here up the wall, because this is the bottom. So then I will have a nice overlap in the exact direction that I want it. And of course there was some excess that went around to the other side. No big deal. So let's get this thing installed. So with that sitting in place where I want it, I'm ready to lower the structure down onto this new foundation. I have to climb underneath to get the center support out first. Then I have to remove this support and then this one. So we jacked it in 3 places when we raised it up. I know in the first video where we replaced the rotten floor joist or the rim joist that the jacking of this did not get in that video. I apologize for that. It was very busy. So I will show you the last step out here where we can see it well to remove the last bracing. The rest of it is all underneath. This is my last support right here. Once I pull this one out, it will be solely sitting on the new foundation. We did put some bracing in to help prevent this from trying to tilt as we jacked it, and I'll show you that in a minute. What we put under the house, I'm just going to leave. It's not interfering with anything, and it's in a very difficult location for me to remove at this point in time, so it's just going to stay. And this 8-ton bottle jack will effortlessly lift this up. It won't lift, it may lift the entire thing, but there's no way to jack the entire thing at once. So we have to do it in little sections. I just need to jack it up high enough to get this out. And that is that. It is now sitting on its own. I'm going to remove the bracing on the other side that we put in to keep it from tilting, and I'll show you that. It's rained a few times since we put this in, but what we did was we screwed these 2x4s to the new floor joist, and then we screwed a 2x4 across the bottom, because with the jacking forces this will try to just fall out from underneath or just lay flat, and we didn't want it to lay flat because this is how we have structure. So these prevented it from doing that. It's very important to put the bottom piece on, otherwise it'll just kind of splay them out. It'll go ahead and try to roll. Like I say, there's 2 more of them underneath, but they're going to stay because they're just too difficult to take out, and I can slide this right out from under there without removing it. So I'm going to get this one off so that it'll drop down, and then go ahead and slide this thing out. What I used here is 2 16-foot 2x8s screwed together. It is not light, so that's why it's fighting me a little bit to get it out, but it should slide out fairly easy. Now I'm past the one main obstruction I was a little worried about. I'm going to get the screws out of these and go ahead and get them separated so that they're easier to handle. And the reason I got these in 16 footers is 1, the reach, and 2, I can repurpose them. This won't be thrown away. I also need to pour a footing down this side and the other side and put cinder blocks in just like I did across the front. So I need to get this out of my way. I've already resupported underneath to hold the joist that's in one from this one. However, when I pull this out, there will be nothing supporting this one other than itself until I get this all finished. And it will be fine to support itself. Most of the structure, even though this is a load-bearing wall, this member is in good shape. It may drop down 1/8 of an inch or so, but it'll be no big deal in the big picture. I need to jack this up a little bit to get the pressure off so I can get these boards out. Now I'm going to relieve the jack and just let it sit down on its own. And there we have it. Now the last thing I need to do is sister on a new joist here, or another joist, because this one was only 5 inches. It's 5 by 2, so I want to get one that's 6 inches behind it so that everything is the same. I've already put a small piece in here. I want to finish it the rest of the way now. I've got my joist cut that I'm going to sister on to the back of this one. And like I say, the whole purpose of this is this joist is merely 5 inches, and I need it to be 6 like the rest of them, and that's kind of how I set it up. That's how it was, so I didn't want to go with the full 2x8 here, and then not have my joists underneath sitting on anything. So all across the front, those were evened out to 6s, and this one was across the front, but now I need to get this side taken care of. I've screwed a board on down here just to kind of hold this end in place while I screw this end. I've got a 3.5 inch construction screw in there, and the reason I'm going with 3.5, at least to hold it in place, is because this is a 2-inch rough sawn piece of material. So it is a true 2 inches. I'm going to do the same thing down here, and then I'm going to put some structural screws in to hold it in place and tie it in nice and tight to this existing joist. With that board installed, I am ready to start digging my footings out. I'm not going to bore you with that, but I will show you how I'm going to take care of this pipe. I'm going to put a sleeve on it so that the cement is not tight around that pipe. I'm going to get to digging. I have my footing dug, and I'm ready to put the sleeve on this pipe. I've got a small piece of 6-inch PVC here that I've cut on an angle so that it'll sit tight against the side of the dirt, and then I've put a piece of foil tape on here after I cut it open to make a little door here so I can slip it around the pipe. Once I get it around the pipe, I'm going to go ahead and tape up this side, get it situated exactly how I want it, and then I'm going to put some paper in around here just to hold it where I need it to be. I've made this because this isn't level, so I can't use the level. So this is exactly my 2 blocks and my piece of material. So I'm going to use that as my guide to get my cement where I want it to be, and also where I want the top of this to be. I don't mind if it's sticking out a little bit, but it may get in the way of my cinder blocks when I put them in, and I don't want to have to make a hole completely through them. Now before I situate that, I want to tape it up completely while I still have the ability to move it around. I love this foil tape for doing projects like this. It's strong and it lasts. Once the concrete gets around this, it won't move anyway. Some tree roots down here giving me a hard time. I would have liked to have dug this footing deeper, but all I'm hitting is tree roots, big tree roots. I mean big like this. Okay, I am happy with how that's situated. I'm going to pack some paper in there to hold that exactly where I want it, and then I'm going to start getting my cement in. I am going to leave this area open to put a door in here to be able to access. This is, as far as I know, the only access under the house. There is another opening in the footing that this pipe is coming through. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but the toilet and the shower must be on two different drains. I've got some paper stuffed in here, kind of centering it on the pipe. Now I just want to seal this off so no cement goes down in here. And it kind of helps to hold everything in place a little bit better. Alright, with that done, I am going to get some cement in here and get this thing taken care of. We'll take a look when it's all done. It's a little dark in there, maybe a little hard to see, but I've got this concrete completed. Let it cure and then it will be ready for cinder blocks. Let's take a look at the other side. This side is also complete. Everything worked out well with the pipe. As you can see, my sleeve is just barely poking out there. I may have to trim that off. And I have my step in, and that is where my access will be to get underneath of here and hopefully underneath the house. It's tight, but I think someone could do it. Probably not me, but someone a little smaller. If I look tattered, that's because I am. It has been a grueling 2 days to get this done. I will not be able to come back for 10 days, and I know then my cement will all be cured and everything will be good, and I can start rocking this thing together. Hopefully get this deck back together and get everything squared away. That's all we got for this time. Join me next time when we get the flashing on and we get the siding on and get this thing tightened up. Remember to always respect the power of your power tools. If you enjoyed yourself, click on the video or the playlist that's going to pop up next to me, and we'll see